Before there is touch, before there is even the whisper of desire, there must be stillness. This stillness is not just the absence of noise, it is the conscious decision to become fully present within yourself and with the other. It is the gateway to any genuine human connection. Many rush into intimacy thinking that physical proximity will create emotional closeness. But in truth, it is emotional and energetic attunement that opens the door to deeper intimacy. Silence, therefore, becomes the first gesture not of withdrawal but of reverence. To begin in silence is to offer space. It is to slow down the pace of the world. When you sit with someone you care about, in that pause before words, you allow yourself to feel. You begin to sense not only your own heartbeat, but theirs. You begin to observe, not to judge or assume, but to notice: are they relaxed? Are you? Is there tension in the eyes, the shoulders, the breath? This act of simply observing becomes a meditation in itself, a way of honoring the person before you, not as an object of desire, but as a being deserving of full attention. In this silence, we ask ourselves quietly, am I here now? Because if you are lost in expectation, in imagination, or in fear, you are not truly here, and intimacy cannot unfold in absence. The body knows when we are disconnected. The energy between two people changes when one is distracted. And so stillness becomes the first offering. It allows you to arrive, to truly arrive. The power of this moment is that it is shared. Your silence invites the other to enter their own stillness. From there, communication begins, not necessarily through speech, but through energy, through presence, through eye contact that is not rushed. When you look at another not with hunger, but with softness, with patience, and with respect, it opens something deeper. The body responds, the nervous system calms. Trust begins to form. Many people misunderstand the beginning of intimacy. They believe it must be led with action. But in the wisdom of slowness, we discover something more powerful than action. Awareness. Awareness teaches us that there is no rush, that the sacred space of intimacy is not about getting somewhere. It is about being fully here with someone else in the truth of the moment. To be silent is not to suppress. It is to listen. And when you truly listen, not just with your ears, but with your whole being, you begin to feel the unspoken language of comfort, boundaries, and readiness. You begin to sense where the invitation exists and where it does not. This is how you begin, not by reaching out, but by going inward first, not by moving toward the body, but by aligning with the soul. From this place of quiet awareness, everything that follows becomes more intentional, more mutual, and more sacred. Only when you can hold silence with respect can you hold another with care. Consent is not a question asked once and answered once. It is not a gate you pass through and then leave behind. It is a continuous, living agreement, subtle, sacred, and deeply human. To approach another person's body without fully understanding, this is to walk blindly into a space that demands light. That light is awareness, respect, and the ability to truly listen, not just to words, but to signals, silences, and shifts in energy. In the realm of intimate connection, consent is not merely yes or no. It is or, when, are you sure, and do you still feel safe? It is a shared dialogue that honors both people as equals in the unfolding experience. It is not enough to simply receive permission once. True intimacy requires that we stay attuned, that we remain in a constant flow of asking and observing. Just as the breath moves in and out, so too must our awareness move, checking in, confirming, and offering choice at every step. This sacred contract is built not on pressure, not on persuasion, but on clarity and patience. When you ask for consent, not mechanically, but from a place of sincerity, you are saying, I see you. I respect your autonomy. I want to meet you, not take from you. And when consent is given freely, without guilt or fear, the space between two people becomes safe. It becomes fertile ground for authentic intimacy to grow. Often, people rush past this part, driven by desire or assumption. But assumption is the enemy of safety. Assumption says, I already know what you want. But how can you know unless you ask? How can you be certain unless you listen not just to the words, but to the hesitations behind them? The body has its own language, sometimes more honest than words. A tense shoulder, a pause, a change in breathing. These are not to be ignored. They are part of the dialogue. They are part of the consent. To truly honor consent is to free the other person from obligation. It is to say, you are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to say no, not just now, but at any moment. And if you do, I will honor that without question, without anger, without retreating into shame or disappointment. That is real strength. That is real connection. Because in that space of freedom, love can emerge, not love as possession, but love as presence. When we begin with this understanding, intercourse is no longer something that is taken or given under pressure. It becomes something mutual, something graceful, something dignified. The power dynamic dissolves, and what remains is equality. Two people fully awake, fully aware, and fully free to say yes, no, or not yet, and to be cherished for that honesty. In this way, consent is not a barrier to pleasure. It is the foundation of trust, and trust is the deepest pleasure of all. Comfort does not arise from chance. It is cultivated, built moment by moment, like a temple made of invisible bricks. Trust, gentleness, and awareness. Before the body can open, before desire can truly be expressed, it must feel safe. Not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Safety is not only about the absence of danger, it is about the presence of care. And comfort is the flower that blooms in that presence. When two people approach intimacy, they are not just bringing their bodies. They are bringing their histories, their fears, their hopes, and their boundaries. These are sacred things, and sacred things must be handled with quiet hands, with softness, and with deep respect. You cannot know just by looking what a person has carried. You cannot assume that just because someone smiles or says yes, they are fully comfortable. Comfort is not guaranteed by consent. It is its own process, its own unfolding. To create comfort is to be patient. It is to allow space for uncertainty, for hesitation, for questions. It is to say, you don't need to be perfect here. You don't need to perform. You only need to be. That simple message, offered through tone, through presence, through your own relaxed body language, allows the other to breathe. And breathing, deep, easy breathing, is one of the first signs that comfort is present. Many people try to move too quickly, believing that passion must burn hot and fast. But fire that burns too quickly consumes everything. The most beautiful connection arises in warmth, not heat, in the slow, mindful unfolding of trust. When you allow someone to take their time, when you do not rush them or expect them to meet your pace, you are offering a gift. You are saying, "Your comfort matters more to me than my urgency." Who comfort is also mutual. You cannot expect another to feel at ease if you are disconnected from your own body. If you are tense, unsure, or driven by fear, that energy will speak, even in silence. So the journey to comfort begins within. It begins by softening your own breath, by releasing your need to control the moment, and by grounding yourself in the present. When you are at peace, that peace becomes contagious. Words help, but sometimes, more than words, it is the small gestures that speak the loudest. A blanket pulled up, a question asked without demand, a hand held without expectation. These quiet actions create a space where intimacy can grow, not forced, not rushed, but invited. And if discomfort arises, because sometimes it will, that too must be welcomed with care. To pause, to ask, "Are you okay?" or "Do you want to stop?" is not a disruption. It is devotion. True connection is not fragile. It does not break when we slow down. It deepens. This is how comfort is created. Through presence, patience, and the steady message that says, "You are safe with me." When that message is clear, the body listens. And from that listening, something sacred begins. Care is not something you add to intimacy. It is the very breath of it. Without care, physical connection becomes mechanical. With care, it becomes sacred. It becomes a form of communication that goes beyond words, where every touch speaks a language of gentleness, attentiveness, and sincerity. Care is not about what you do, but how you do it, the energy behind every movement, the softness in your eyes, the stillness in your presence. To care is to notice. It is to notice the small details, the way your partner's breath changes, the way their body responds, or withdraws, or pauses. It is to remain aware of their experience as it unfolds in real time, not as you imagined it, but as it truly is. This kind of attentiveness is an act of devotion. It says, "I am here fully with you. I am not using you to fulfill a desire. I am connecting with you, honoring you, holding you, not just with my hands, but with my heart." But too often, people see intimacy as something to achieve, a destination to reach. But when care is present, it is no longer about the end. It is about the moment itself. It is about the quality of the connection. Is it kind? Is it safe? Is it mutual? These questions cannot be answered by intention alone. They are answered by how you show up. Is your touch gentle? Are your words encouraging? Is your energy calm and open? Care is also about slowing down. There is no need to rush when you are truly with someone. That the body is not a machine to be activated. It is a universe to be explored. And in this universe, nothing beautiful ever comes from force. Everything unfolds through trust, patience, and consistency. When you care, you create the space for this unfolding. You do not demand, you do not push, you invite. And in the space of that invitation, intimacy becomes real. Real care is not transactional. It is not given to receive something. It is given freely as a natural expression of presence and love. And it does not end when the act is done. In fact, care becomes even more important afterward. The silence after, The breath, the return, all of this still belongs to the shared space. A simple embrace, a whispered word, or even quiet companionship. These things ground the experience in warmth and trust. Without them, something feels incomplete, unheld, and most of all, care must extend to yourself. You cannot offer what you do not have. If you do not know how to be gentle with your own heart, you will struggle to be gentle with another's. So it begins there, in how you speak to yourself, how you treat your own body, how you breathe through your own fears. From that self-care, you are able to care for another not from emptiness, but from fullness. When intimacy is wrapped in care, it becomes something more than physical. It becomes medicine. It becomes prayer. It becomes a mirror in which two people see their softness, their strength, and their shared humanity reflected back to each other. Presence is the essence of true intimacy. In a world where we are constantly distracted by thoughts, by expectations, by the noise of comparison, we forget that the most powerful thing we can offer another person is our full attention. To be present is to let go of the performance. It is to step away from the mind's obsession with doing it right, and to step into the moment with honesty, humility, and openness. When two people enter an intimate space together, they often carry with them hidden pressure to satisfy, to impress, to live up to something they've seen or imagined. This pressure pulls them away from what's real. It makes them chase outcomes, pleasure, approval, perfection rather than connection. But presence is not interested in outcomes. Presence asks only one question: are you here now? To be present is to feel the breath, yours and your partner's. It is to hear the silence between words, to notice the way a hand rests or moves, to be aware of your own heartbeat and how it slows or quickens in response to the other. When you are fully present, your attention becomes a form of touch. It holds the other person without pressure, without force. It gives them the space to relax, to be seen, and to unfold naturally. The beauty of presence is that it creates freedom. When you are not performing, your partner also feels less pressure to perform. They are not being evaluated. They are not being measured. They are simply being met exactly as they are in the moment. That meeting is where intimacy truly begins. It is not found in technique or perfection. It is found in the sincerity of shared experience. Presence also helps you listen, not just to words, but to emotion, to energy, to unspoken needs. You become more sensitive to subtle cues, a pause, a sigh, a shift in breathing. All of these become part of the conversation. And because you are present, you respond, not with reaction, but with care. You adjust, you slow down, you pause if needed. You speak or stay silent based on what is truly needed, not what a script tells you should happen next. To be present is also to be vulnerable. It means letting go of masks. It means not hiding behind performance or ego. It means being willing to feel even when that feeling is uncertainty. But this vulnerability is not weakness. It is the foundation of trust. When someone feels that you are with them fully, without pretending, they begin to soften. They begin to trust that this space is safe and that they don't have to be anyone but themselves. In the end, presence is the gift that transforms physical connection into emotional resonance. It doesn't matter how long the moment lasts, if it was real, if it was shared, If both hearts were in it fully, then that moment holds power. It becomes a memory not of what was done, but of what was truly felt. That is the gift of choosing presence over performance. What happens after matters just as much as what happened during. Many people speak of intimacy as if it ends with climax or physical completion, but that is only the surface. True intimacy extends beyond the moment of release. It lingers, echoes. It continues in silence, in breath, in the way two people return to themselves and to each other. This is the space called aftercare. It is quiet, often overlooked, but deeply sacred. Aftercare is not a ritual reserved for extreme experiences or specific relationships. It is a natural, essential part of any conscious, intimate exchange. Because when two people share their bodies, their energy, and their vulnerability, something shifts within them. Whether the act was tender or passionate, playful or intense, it opens something, and what opens must be held. Otherwise, it may close in confusion, loneliness, or even pain. In the stillness after, the body is often soft, the emotions exposed. The nervous system, which has been active and alert, begins to descend, to settle. And in that descent, the presence of care becomes more important than ever. A simple touch, a quiet word, the offering of water or warmth. These gestures are not small. They are the finishing strokes on a canvas painted with trust. Aftercare asks us to stay, not just physically, but emotionally. It asks us to remain connected, to check in, to listen not just with our ears, but with our hearts. How do you feel? Are you okay? Is there anything you need? These questions are not interruptions. They are extensions of the intimacy itself. They show that your care did not end with the act. They show that your presence is not conditional, and not every person needs the same kind of aftercare. Some may want to talk, to be held, to cry, to laugh. Others may want silence, space, stillness. The key is to ask and to listen. Aftercare is not about doing what you think is right. It's about meeting your partner where they are, without judgment, without expectation. When practiced with sincerity, aftercare becomes a mirror. It reflects the depth of connection shared. It strengthens the bond. It brings closure to the moment in a way that feels whole, not abrupt. It communicates, "You are not alone in this. I am still here." And perhaps most importantly, aftercare is also for you, for your own body, your own heart. Take a moment to breathe, to reflect, to thank yourself and your partner for the courage it takes to open, to be real. This too is part of the sacred exchange. In a world that so often glorifies the beginning and forgets the end, aftercare is the quiet wisdom that completes the circle. It is not the fading echo of pleasure. It is the grounding root of connection. Where there is aftercare, there is honor. Where there is honor, love has room to stay.